Checkmates is recorded in front of a live engineer, Lou Kellen, putting the mic check in Checkmates.
Good evening and welcome back to Checkmates, the show where we take aboard the things that we love and place things in positions that seem agreeable to us. My name is Nick Welsh.
I'm Daniel Garrichter.
And today, because we see the comments, we read what you write. You're a hurtful bunch. I'm not even too sure why you stick around. Who do you think you are to accuse us of not knowing our video games? Today, we are doing Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh yeah.
Now, we're not going to use characters that are exclusive from the games of Marvel vs. Capcom.
I think that was my first question when we talked about this.
It was your very immediate question. We're allowed to branch out. Having said that, I mean, I don't think there are many people on these lists that haven't been involved in the games at some point. I mean, they've got a healthy history span.
That and the Marvel stuff as well. Like, we've both lived through several generations of this stuff. It meant something to me when I was a kid, and it meant something completely different to you when you were growing up.
And this is very true. And the other thing we were discussing is, we're using Marvel for this list. Can you imagine how different the list would be if we'd have done it like 10 years ago?
Like when the movie franchise was just getting started?
None of the Avengers, none of that. Black Panther, like, we're talking about like the rejuvenation of an entire brand.
Although, you know, this coming summer is the 10-year anniversary of the first Avengers movie.
Where is my life going?
Wherever it's going there quicker and quicker with each passing day.
Oh my god, I'm spending my time filling fictional chessboards. It's fine. You gotta do something with your time. Until that big black encroaches.
If you came back to me 10 years ago and said you're going to be doing a podcast about chessboards 10 years from now, I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
Your expectations from life are always pleasant. Okay. Okay, so let's kick this right off straight away. We're going to start with the Marvel side. Sir, what do you got for a king?
Well, I have seen all of the Avengers movies. I've seen most of the MCU. Mm-hmm. The whole thing has been built around Thanos. I was also really into cosmic powers when I was a kid. Silver Surfer, all the Infinity Gauntlet, all that stuff. So Thanos is my guy.
That's an interesting choice. I feel like there have been so many villains, large villains throughout the Marvel universe, that I wasn't intent on having someone like that as my king. I went for Iron Man.
You did, eh?
Yeah, and there's the best example of a character that's made it onto the king of my very prestigious chessboard.
It's an incredible glow-up for that character,
you know,
isn't it?
Forget the Emmys. Forget the Golden Globes. Forget the Oscars. You made it onto my board, Iron Man.
That whole movie series took the character that was like in the basement for Marvel, like one of the C-tier characters, and turned it into its like...
Oh, for sure, definitely. Complete rejuvenation. Running alongside the complete rejuvenation of Robert Downey Jr. in general.
Honestly.
I know, parallels. Okay, I'll tell you what, let's keep those two kings for a second. Mm-hmm. Let's hit each other with our queens and see where we're going to go.
Well,
now, my queen
yes,
is Captain America.
Is it? That's a great choice.
Exactly the same thing as well. Character in relative obscurity. Now the only other man that can wield the hammer of Thor.
Right? And like the working man of Marvel.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, workhorse.
The proletariat.
If Marvel was built on hard work alone, he'd be the champ.
Amazing. Well, my queen was Iron Man.
Okay. So maybe we can have a consensus on Iron Man. And if you're gonna have Iron Man,
he really is the most iconic Marvel character right now, and has been for a really long time. Iron Man.
Okay, so I think Iron Man and Thanos, I like that combination. I like the memories it's going to bring up in people's hearts.
And like we've always been talking about the king and queen having that working relationship. None better and more iconic than Thanos and Iron Man.
Love it. So then Marvel kings and queens are Thanos and good old Iron Man.
All right.
Sir, I want your bishop.
Okay, so my first bishop is Spider-Man. Here's the twist. It's Miles Morales.
Dun dun dun.
I love
We hit you with twists and
Spider-Verse.
turns, audience.
That's
you think
right.
we're going one way, we parallel left.
You think it's one way, but it's the other way.
You only want it one way.
But it's the other way.
Why?
That's for another podcast.
It certainly is. Okay, but I don't see him as a bishopy type figure.
No?
Well, no. I mean, he's a fourth wall breaker,
Mhm.
which is always good. But I don't know if he's enough of a leader as such, because I'll tell you who my first bishop is.
Okay.
Professor X.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you could even begin to place him anywhere else in that board, and he's got to be backline.
To the point where if you were doing an X-Men chessboard, he would be the king there,
Oh, for sure.
right? So you can't knock him off the back line. And so I feel like in this case, I can then just turn around and ask you who your second bishop is, because you've gone for something pretty cool here.
My second bishop is Magneto. Talking about two leaders, almost cult-like in their following. So I'll take that for bishopy references, because all religions are a cult.
Dun, dun.
Don't make me read the comments and hear that was offensive. It wasn't.
I mean, they've already gone there in the comments, like, now already.
Yeah, but two leaders, two people with that kind of stature, I think that's a good combination. I don't see Spider-Man stacking up against him, but I want to hear your second bishop just in case.
I really didn't put the kind of thought into it that you did. I really love Into the Spider-Verse. I've loved Spider-Man. I always thought if you were going to do one of these podcasts from 1966 until the 90s, Spider-Man would be your king, because he was the most iconic Marvel character.
This is very, very true.
But Magneto and Professor X, responsible for the X-Men and its rogues gallery.
Yeah.
We can't not have, So I kind of want to go with your idea. I want to go with Professor X and Magneto for our bishops.
And you can hear there Daniel completely conceding. I agree.
Joke of a man.
Indeed. Not I agree. I mean, you should get on Indeed right now, because you are so close to losing this podcast job.
You got someone waiting in the wings?
Me, but with a slightly higher tone variation. Let's get on them nights. Let's get on them nights. Now, my first night, sir, powerhouse. I'm going with the Hulk.
You're going with the Hulk, huh? I mean, I went with Cap for my first night.
Okay.
But same thing. The Hulk is that kind of character in the Avengers movies alone.
Which is very true. He is an absolute wall. And my thinking was, but now that I've lost Captain America from my front line, it was originally going to be Hulk and Ben Grimm the Thing. Two very similar looking components, two absolute beasts.
And two dudes who fought each other in special episodes from the 60s until the 80s. I'm sorry, I'm the Marvel nerd here, it would seem.
Well, then here's what we'll say. We are anything but predictable on this show. I'm dropping Ben Grimm.
You're dropping Ben Grimm?
I'm dropping Ben Grimm, indeed, him as well.
Ben Grimm is Elon Musk's girlfriend.
Yes, it's all flooding back to me now. Okay, so you know what? In the interest of keeping Captain America on that backline, because he has to be there, I'm okay with Captain America Hulk, unless you've got another knight you think deserves to be in there.
Well, here's another interesting discussion. I had Wolverine in as my knight, because if you did this from the 90s right up until the early aughts, it'd have been Wolverine as your king, because that guy was the most iconic Marvel character during that time. He's not anymore.
I apologize for the plebish nature of my partner here, of even mentioning Wolverine, that cookie-cutter, one-player, any platform game by the X-Men you could think of.
Which specific game are you talking about? The NES game?
Actually, I was referring to the Sega Genesis.
That was also pretty bad.
Yeah, better referred to where I'm from as the Mega Drive.
Wow, alright.
Alright, so are we calling it? Are we saying
Cultural studies. Cap and
Hulk.
Cap and Hulk. I like it.
Okay, we've got them knights done. Now here's something I hadn't even broached. What are we going to do for the rooks?
Did you have any ideas?
To be honest, no, except if we're talking about iconic images from the recent, 2 Infinity Gloves.
Oh, well, you only need one, right?
Yeah, but that's not going to pan out. I'm not having the jewels on one side and the glove on the other.
The Infinity Gauntlet on both sides, to me, is a fantastic idea. I went with Stan Lee.
Like a square version of Stan Lee?
Sure.
Like a Lego Stan Lee?
Like the Funko Pop version of Stan Lee.
Here's the problem with that. Do you know who the big name is behind Capcom?
Nope.
Yep. Racist. Okay, so not Stan Lee. I think Infinity Gauntlet. Gauntlet?
Yes, the Infinity Gauntlet. It's a small gong.
The Infinity Goblet. It was at the end of Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade.
Imagine he had to play a little gong instead of snapping his fingers. Amazing.
Okay, well that's our backline taken care of, people. It's time to get on to them pawns.
Yep.
And I'll throw you out my first one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to go somewhere.
He's got to go somewhere, but I don't like the fact that you're sitting there not agreeing with me.
Well, it's not that I'm going to argue whether he should be a pawn or not. Of course, he needs to be on this board. It's just weird to me. I've been into comics since I was, like, in grade school. And that I've got, like, 70 years on you.
It's getting close to that.
Yeah.
See, because you got to remember, when I was a kid, there were two cartoons which rose above everything else.
Yep.
One was the original Batman animated series.
So good.
And the other one was the Spider-Man series with the awesome Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I think of Spider-Man, I think of a singing robot for sure.
It's
a great theme song, whatever.
It was quality. Okay, so Spider-Man is in.
Yeah, he has to be.
Give me a pawn.
All right, how about Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange. And I'm going to lay this on you right now. He's on my list, but he's overflow.
Is he really? Okay, well, what do you think about putting him in there?
I think he's a character that deserves to be in there, sir. But I also believe that every character I've picked deserves to be in there.
That is the basis of this podcast.
So I would like to set him to one side for a second, because we both agreed on Spider-Man. Doctor Strange, I don't know. But I'm going to hit you with my next pawn, Deadpool.
Yeah, he's on my list as well. He has to be.
Yeah.
Same thing, man. Invented in the early 90s, like, not a really important character until they went, you know what, this guy's kind of funny and could sell some merch. So they made a movie and off we went.
We had to wait until the 2000s when we were all jaded enough to have a complete fourth wall breaking character.
That's right.
You know, Jim Cornette would not be happy if he was a film reviewer.
They're exposing the business.
They're exposing the business.
Arn Anderson, different podcast. Totally Blanchard.
Midnight Express.
Magnum TA. Okay, different podcast.
Okay, so how? So we're liking Deadpool. He's in there.
Deadpool and Spider-Man.
Throw me out another one of them pawns.
Okay, I've got Doctor Doom in there.
Doctor Doom didn't even make it on my list.
No?
No, I'm afraid not.
All right.
Plus, I'm going to say right now we need a consensus. You're allowed one doctor because we already have a professor.
It's true, and Dr. Iron Man, so that's
philanthropist.
Doctor. Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, Dr. Iron Man, yeah.
I think, I hate to be the guy that's making things difficult, I'd like that set to one side as well.
You'd like to set Doctor Doom to a side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like you're trying to appeal to a niche minority.
And
so.
I feel that you are dominating this whole thing, but your ideas are good, so.
They are fantastic and sexy. So I'm going to hit you with my next pawn, and I know you're going to agree again. Wolverine needs to be on that board.
Yes, he does need to be on that board.
He is on that board. Schniggy, schnoo. Worst character in the world in any of these games, if we're going to reference the games again, because you could just carry on hitting punch and do the baka raj.
Something is telling me that you haven't seen Logan.
Something is telling you that I haven't watched any of the Wolverine spin-offs.
Okay, the other ones are bad. Mm-hmm. This one is amazing. You haven't seen the standalone Logan movie?
No.
Where he's like old?
No.
And Xavier is in it, and he's like old, and he's got like space level dementia or something like that.
What is this notebook version of X-Men you're telling me?
Yeah,
about?
it's like an Arcade Fire song turned into a movie, but also there's claws.
Okay, so I think we're both in agreement that Wolverine is in there.
Yeah.
Sir, please get one I can agree with you.
Okay, what about Venom?
He's not on my list.
What is the matter with you?
He's not on my list. I have a host of collection of great names. Actually, some of them are fairly emotional choices.
Yeah?
I gotta say, of the three you've picked so far, that's the one I feel the most comfortable sleeping into this, or even slipping into it. Put it in the maybe pile.
Holy crap, dude.
That's 3 in the maybe pile for anyone who's keeping count. And I'm going to hit you with a better idea. One of my least favourite characters of all time, Cyclops.
Really?
What a vanilla slice of cake.
Yeah.
What an absolute glass of low-fat milk.
And, like, if you knock his visor off, he screws everybody.
This is true.
And it happens all the time.
It is very... He gets, my eyes, they're killing everyone because I have to wear 1992 visor shades that wrap around into a little wrist bracelet when I let go of them.
They made Oakleys that were boring, that were supposed to be like Cyclops' Oakleys, and because they were boring, because he's boring.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be fair. Cyclops is out.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm allowing you to put Venom in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I am a kind and benevolent leader. I do not rule with an iron fist. I rule with a hug and a kiss.
So we've got Deadpool, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Venom.
That's it.
All right.
Those last four. I'm going to give you one for me, and I think you might disagree, but I have an emotional connection to this. I'm going with Gambit.
I don't have Gambit on my list. Always loved Gambit.
Specifically cartoon. I want Cajun Gambit. Mon chéri, I like to play solitaire unless I have somebody to play with.
Have they ever?
That was
So
a pretty
good.
good Cajun. I'm pretty happy with that Cajun.
Yeah. Always carries several decks of cards with him.
He does. He throws playing cards, dude.
Yeah.
He's cool. He wears gloves with half of the fingers missing.
Right. It's very helpful
Oh,
for throwing the cards, I guess, having the right...
So are we okay with Gambit going in there?
Yeah, let's throw Gambit in there.
Love it.
He's a deep cut, but the fandom is kind of dependent on deep cuts. So yeah, so number 5 is Gambit.
Okay, Disco. Who have you got?
Okay, what about the Silver Surfer?
Oh my god, your list is appalling.
No, it's not.
The Silver Surfer.
No, it's not.
When I start rattling off some of the names I've got on here, you're going to feel really stupid.
No, it's not.
Sell me the Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer has the power cosmic. He got it from Galactus. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Why does this guy sound more like a decoration theme to a child's bedroom than an actual superhero?
Well, he might just be. But also, he wears a small pair of silver tighty-whities, and that's it.
Folks.
And he surfs.
Folks,
The
that's
cosmos.
a maybe pile. I'm going to hit you with one that actually is going to go in there.
Uh-huh.
Thor.
Yes, I have Thor on my list as well.
He's lying.
He was one of my bishops. But...
Thor is definitely in there. He's hunky, he's spunky, he's punching people like a monkey.
He likes to say thou and thine.
He does, and he broods.
He does.
Not as much as his brother, but he does brood.
He enjoys a mead.
I am true of heart. That is why I can handle this Black & Decker drill.
So we got Thor in there.
He's in there.
I'm heading pretty quickly into my runoff anyway. Okay.
You're going to sneak him past me, but give me one.
Apocalypse?
Apocalypse?
Uh-huh.
I didn't, and now I'm worried that I should have.
Well, if you're talking about Marvel versus Capcom anyway, he's in one of them.
Yeah. Okay, I think maybe Pile's good for that. I'm going to hit you with a real option.
Jesus!
I'm going to hit you with a real option, and I'm so thankful that we can now put this on the list, because we wouldn't have. Black Panther.
Yep.
What an absolute emergence.
You've seen the movie.
Actually, I missed about 15 minutes in the middle of it because I peed for ages. But
The movies will do that to you.
yeah, what an absolute turnaround for a character not exactly in the high tier ranking to be pushed up there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just an iconic Marvel character now. Honestly, when they announced they were making the movie, I was like, oh yeah, Black Panther, he is a character.
Oh dear. And I think that leaves us with one choice left.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the one I have left on here, and again, it's personal choice.
Uh-huh.
I went with the Human Torch.
Iconic.
Yeah, because as a child, I would repeatedly shout, "Flame on!" and be disappointed when I wasn't receiving a 3rd-degree burns.
Iconic from the 60s on. Here's the thing. It was a terrible show, and it was a terrible comic, too. That's just my hot take.
You know what? It's been terrible in every iteration of it that I've seen as well. So I don't get the impression that you're too happy with that. I feel like it's been a little bit mean from my part. So, sir, give me your last poll.
All right, I'm going a little out of left field here, too. I love the movie Blade 2. I love the first Blade movie. Third one, let's not talk about it. Fantastic movie. Cool character. Introduced the Marvel Cinematic Universe if you really think about it.
You know what? I do not disagree. I like those films. I love the opening club scene films. That's fantastic. I want to be all up in that nonsense. A film that's good enough. A film with Chris Christopherson in it.
Ugh, so good.
Oh, But a character that's good enough that I can look past the fact that I hate Wesley Snipes.
But he's really good at it.
And his own brand of martial arts he invented.
Yes, it really is unique to him.
One day we'll get to see it up against Shaq Fu.
Kids, go out and get the Blade 2 soundtrack in any format you can get it. It is incredible.
Plus, it falls into that category of films that contain Triple H.
That's right. No, Triple H is in the third one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, films that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, I agree. I like Blade. Let's get him in there.
Yeah.
And with that, bombshell finish.
I feel a little better about your attitude right now.
You're not going to like what I'm about to say. You're going to catch us in the next half, and we're going to be approaching the Capcom team, where hopefully Daniel will have put a lot more effort into something he claims to be invested in.
Here's the thing, I didn't.
He never said that at all. We'll see you on the other side of the board.
Alright. And welcome back. We're on part 2 of Marvel vs. Capcom. We've just slogged through a battle about Marvel. And Nick thinks he's right, and God bless, but he's not. So we're moving on to Capcom. I imagine there's just going to be as much infighting this time around, too.
I can't imagine there being less contention on this side than there was on the other one. I think it's going to be equal parts anger. I think there's going to be some Hadoukens thrown.
At least, and like several of those, there's a hurricane kick. I feel like there's times where people have listened to us talk about what we think we know, and then gone immediately to correct us and mock us, and that's their choice.
Well, then they should buy a $25 mic and join us.
It's not $25. What's the matter with you?
Okay, well, let's jump straight into this then. I'm going to tell you who my king is.
Go ahead.
Ryu.
Yeah.
Same. Where else do you go with that one? You're talking about an iconic character from an iconic series, the basis of the vanilla first choice.
Yep, Street Fighter is their big accomplishment. They've put out so many games over the years, and yet it all comes down to Street Fighter, doesn't it?
It certainly does. That's what they'll be primarily remembered for, with the exception of maybe one other game, which I'm pretty sure is going to come up a fair bit inside this list.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Ryu for king, we're in agreement, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who I've got for my queen.
Go ahead.
I went with M. Bison.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, mine was Ken, because I thought about the interplay between the two characters. But if you want to do hero versus villain, again, in terms of Capcom, biggest hero, biggest villain.
I like it, he's an imposing figure. Plus, if we had the pieces have removable clothing, we could have swapped the red and white between Ryu and Ken and it wouldn't matter.
No, it really doesn't matter. If you think there's a difference between Ken and Ryu in the game, I'd really like you to articulate how. All of you listeners, I'd really like to come back and have you say exactly what the difference between Ken and Ryu really is. There is none.
I'll tell you exactly what the difference is. When you're playing a game in the arcade of Street Fighter, it's moving one finger from the punch button to the kick button.
Right.
And that is the entire extensive difference of the training needed to master Ken.
So the comments are going to be what you just said, just angrier.
Yes, angrier and with far more references to my facial appearance.
Legit. Okay, so we got Ryu and we got M. Bison for our king and queen.
That's settled in stone.
Hit me with your first bishop.
Oh, well, I'm thinking about characters who operate more on intelligence than anything else. Mm-hmm. I went with Albert Wesker.
Albert Wesker. Give me some background.
Albert Wesker is the continual villain in the Resident Evil series. He is the shifty face behind, or not even behind, that represents the very front of the Umbrella Corporation. He is devious. He is unkillable to a certain extent.
Is he ruthless?
Ruthless. He's without remorse.
Oh, that's such an important quality of the ultra villain.
Listen, I did not take the courses required to make a full professional evaluation, but I would say he was a sociopath.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't know any of that. I've played 2 of the Resident Evil games, 1 and 2, and I don't know any of the lore, but that's cool. I had Dante, from Devil May Cry. I love
like
that game.
Lots of religious aspect to that. Lots of mythical ideas.
He looks cool.
He does look cool. He's a head turner for a heterosexual male like myself.
He's got that goth thing going on pretty good.
Exactly. You know what I like. Or it might just be to ask him for his jacket, the red one, hot as hell.
So, are we at an impasse here? I mean, Dante's an important character. Albert Wesker is also apparently very important.
Well, I'll tell you who else I had on my bishop list.
Okay.
And I'm deeply concerned that you're not going to know who this is.
There's a really good chance of that.
I went with Phoenix Wright.
You were right. I do not know who that is.
He's a lawyer in a game which has spanned so many different games, where basically, I think it was on... and the audience will have to correct me on this one. I feel like it was the DS.
I see.
And you had to shout objection into it. Objection!
Okay.
Anyone who knows me knows I love shouting objection. Objection!
Okay, so let me see if I can get this straight. On a list of characters from video games, including people who do flaming uppercuts, and the guy, Arthur, and Nemesis, characters like that, you are insisting on a lawyer.
I'm retracting my choice, having been belittled like a child, and feeling like I have so little self-confidence in myself now that I may crawl back into a shell. But you know what? I'll accept that. No Phoenix Wright.
What a long-winded way of saying you're right.
It was a lot. Okay, so are we going Albert Wesker? Dante?
Yeah, it's a good compromise.
Okay, I love it. Let's get him in there.
My other bishop was Morrigan, because she's in a bunch of the Capcom versus Marvel games. She's got those cute little bat wings on her shoulders. Yeah, I don't know anything else about Darksiders.
Yeah, if this was boobs versus no boobs, of course she'd be backline.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea that you tried to insert into this one is disgusting.
Yeah, boobs are not a thing in video games at all.
Alright, hit me with your knight.
Okay, my first knight is Mega Man.
Mega Man.
He should be in the backline, bro.
He's on my list. He's not backline, but he is important.
Yeah.
He is iconic.
Again, seems like we've grown up in different eras for video games.
Very different eras.
Yeah, Mega Man was like a staple of NES gaming.
You know what? You're entirely right, and I'm going to concede straight away on that, man.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Mega Man deserves to be in that backline.
What is happening? Has the tide turned from a dynamic perspective?
I am a fair person, Daniel, and if you do something well, I will reward you by placing a treat on your nose and making you balance it there before you're allowed to eat it.
And then I throw it up just a little bit and then catch it in the mouth.
I don't think you are capable of anything that cool. Okay, so I agree. Let's put Mega Man in as a knight, but I'm going to hit you with one of my knights. Right?
Okay, go for it.
Akuma.
Yep.
Akuma.
Yeah, really key Street Fighter character. Of course, later on, but that's okay. Not holding it against you.
It really felt like you were trying to there.
Well, I've got Bionic Commando.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, legit.
Yeah, the fact that you even said it out loud shows how little respect you have for yourself. Okay, so our knights are Akuma and Mega Man.
He is a commando, like he fights.
I get that he's a commando, I get that he's also bionic, but neither of those two things pique my interest.
Alright, fine.
Now, we arrive at quite a difficult decision here.
Mm-hmm.
What are our rooks?
Well, rather than go for some lame icon, I went with an arcade cabinet of... Yeah, so I went with an arcade cabinet that was Capcom versus Marvel.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I like that.
It's like a little miniature version.
My idea was terrible. My idea was... do you remember the start at Street Fighter 2 where the two guys are having a fight and one gets punched out and the camera pans up to that tower block? I was just going to have a tower block.
What do you think it meant? Because they just fit the words into the tower block?
I believe it was a commentary on social inequality within a financial means situation.
Wow.
And about how, high-rise buildings become this iconic image of a violent upbringing that isn't based on education or love, but more on survival.
Wow. Street Fighter 2 is a Trotskyist game. You heard it here first.
Deep cuts. Okay, yeah, all right, I like that. Let's keep those as the rooks. But now we approach the problem stage.
The pawns.
It's time to get porny. Sir,
God.
Let's get X-rate porny. Give me your first.
Yeah, so I went with Guile.
Guile?
Yeah.
Mr. Flat Top himself?
Mr. Flat Top himself.
Oh.
I feel like when Street Fighter 2 first came out, Guile was as much of the face of it as Ryu and Ken were.
I tell you what, I'll accept Guile.
Yeah.
As long as the piece is Jean-Claude Van Damme Guile.
Perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, in the same sense, actually, I want to backtrack here. I'd also like my M. Bison to be Raul Julia.
Well, see, one feels like a tribute and one feels like an FU to me. But that's okay.
Raul Julia was superb.
Absolutely.
Okay, you know what? I don't like Guile. I'm putting him into the baby cabinet.
It's fair.
Okay, and I'll hit you with a pawn that does deserve to be in there. I'm going to give you Frank West.
Yep. So have you played Dead Rising?
I have played Dead Rising. I got it when it immediately came out. I was living in a house with some hideous people. But they did acquire gaming quite quickly.
And it was PS2?
No, it was Xbox One.
Was it Xbox One?
Well, not Xbox One, Xbox 360.
Again, I've only played as Frank West in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. He's really cool.
He's a terrible character who uses his camera to aid him in battle against people that can fire fireballs from their hands.
Yeah, that's what he does. He uses his camera in their face, and he makes Ultron go, oh, my eyes. It makes sense.
I suppose in that sense it is kind of impressive. All right, so we got Frank West in there. Hit me with another, but better, pawn choice.
All right, Jill Valentine.
Jill Valentine is in my overflow.
Tell me more about Jill Valentine, because I know that she's in the first 2 Resident Evil games.
She shoots zombies in the face and sometimes dresses entirely inappropriately for the situation she finds herself in.
Right, which is usually zombies.
Yeah, because if I was fighting a zombie, a blue miniskirt would not be my first choice.
Okay, but it has its advantages too.
Well, I suppose all they know is that the zombies can be killed by, severing the brain cord. But she also believes that dressing like a really inexpensive stripper will also produce the same results.
Yeah, I mean, she kills zombies for a living, so it's like dress for the job you want.
You know what? I'm going to give you Jill Valentine.
Give me Jill Valentine? Thank you.
I'm going to come back at you in the same vein with Leon Kennedy.
Okay, tell me about Leon Kennedy.
I'm not going to lie, I had a little peek over at your list earlier.
Yeah?
And I saw you had Chris Redfield on there.
He seems important.
He is as vanilla as possible. Leon Kennedy gets to lead around the president's daughter in Resident Evil 4, by far the best Resident Evil game. Forget your nostalgia over 1 and 2. 4 is an absolute heavenly piece of game.
You just said it like Cookie Monster.
It was delicious.
I wish he was a playable character in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, that would just be a game changer.
Marvel vs. Capcom vs. Sesame Street. Make it happen, guys.
Now, I can sense that you don't have an argument for Chris Redfield, do you?
Nope.
Then it's Leon Kennedy!
Okay.
Hit me with one.
Sagat.
The man scarred by Ryu's rising uppercut.
That's right, in Street Fighter 1.
One of the hardest bosses, like M. Bison was
so
tough.
hard.
Sagat was an absolute troll.
And he only got harder as the game went on.
Ugh. At no point was he enjoyable in any possible capacity. But you know what? I like him. He's important. He's iconic.
Let's hear it.
He's in there.
Oh, okay. I thought he was going to the maybe pile.
I'm going to throw out some classics at you here, sir. I want Arthur on that board from Ghosts and Goblins.
When was your first exposure to Ghosts and Goblins?
Well, you have to remember something. I went back. I owned a Sega Genesis, known as the Mega Drive in England. And when I got older, I went back and purchased one and started collecting games.
Oh, wow.
When I left England, I left about 126 boxed Mega Drive games to a friend.
So it was pretty close to the arcade version then.
Most ports were pretty bad at that stage. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't as enjoyable
as the arcade version.
I can't say I ever played the arcade version.
Yeah, I mean it was just more fluid than console games, but it had a lot of colors and blah blah blah. The only thing about Ghosts and Goblins is you had 2 chances and you spent most of the game naked.
It's true, and then you had to complete the game twice. Okay, so we saying okay for Arthur?
Yeah, let's say okay for Arthur.
Arthur is in there. We got 3 more places. What you got?
Well, there's Final Fight, and the key character from that game likes to put his arms out, embrace the world, and go, whoa!
You will not find a complaint from me. I know who you're talking about, and anyone that produces a powerbomb in a side-scrolling beat-em-up is my friend.
Yeah, Hagar.
Hagar, the mayor of a town.
Yeah.
Whose daughter gets kidnapped. And he's like, well, I'm going to put on a pair of braces and punch some people in the face.
Yeah, that's right.
He is the Jesse the Body Ventura of computer games.
Do you think he went on to become Governor Hagar?
Is that above or beneath or mayor?
Oh, it's way above.
Way above?
Yeah.
Then almost definitely.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if he didn't make vice president.
Hagar for governor.
Yeah, just spinning around with his arms, punching really cool-looking punks.
Yeah, that's all he did in the debates, in his promotional ads.
His badge actually spun when you put it on with his arms outstretched.
His campaign slogan was, "Whoa!"
Okay, so yes, I like Hagar. He's in there.
Okay.
Which leaves us with two more choices. I'm going to throw over in your direction. Oh, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
We've got to have Ken in there.
We do have to have Ken.
Ken has to be in there.
Poor guy.
Jokes aside, you know, we'd be lost without him.
I mean, he's in every single one of the Street Fighter games ever.
It certainly is. And I think we discussed this before. I played as Ken when I played Street Fighter.
Me too.
I think you did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, something about it was being able to choose the most vanilla and easy to control character while not being the most vanilla of the characters.
Let me ask you this. Can you instinctively do an uppercut?
No, I struggle.
Me too.
Hadoukens, every time.
Always.
But that weird kind of angular slope up, never hit it.
Yeah.
Never hit. But for some reason, always can hit it if I follow it up after a spinning bird kick.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Spinning bird kick.
It's about rhythm. Okay.
So Ken is in there. We've got
Ken's in
one
there.
last pawn.
Here's one last one. Who have you got?
Well, one of the ones I have left is Chun-Li. And I know we don't exactly want to make this all Street Fighter, but come on.
I would struggle to keep Chun-Li off this list.
She's so important.
I mean, important, yes, or my first real feelings of sexual attraction at a very young age towards anyone.
Don't you say that in every podcast that, like, someone we mention?
Dude, okay, let's be straight up honest here. Chun-Li was a babe.
She was.
You know, I hate to objectify someone, but I figure it's okay because if she was offended, she'd just beat me up really bad.
Children's cartoons weren't that good at rendering hot chicks either.
Ugh, what a set of thighs. Okay, sorry, drifted off a little bit there. And with that thigh-based bombshell, we find ourselves at the end of yet another Checkmates podcast.
This was a difficult one, and I hate you a lot more than I did before this even recorded.
This was tough, but the good news is I do have a copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for the Xbox 360, which I
Nice.
still own. So maybe we'll settle this in a few minutes.
Yeah.
We'll let you know the results next week. But for now, I've been Nick Welsh.
I've been Daniel.
And until next time, we'll check you later.
Boom.